Hi, my name is Freeda Heatherly, and today we're going to talk about process mapping. Okay, what is a process? Before we can map a process, we have to know what it is first. According to dictionary.com, a process is a systematic series of actions directed to some end. Okay, what in the world does that mean? Basically, processes transform inputs into planned outputs. We put something in and we get something out. Whether you know it or not, you have processes that you do each and every day. Our lives are governed by processes. For example, you have a process when you first get up in the morning. Me personally, my process is that I hit the snooze button a couple of times, finally get up, go to the bathroom, get my son up, etc., etc. It's our routine or our process for getting out the door on time. Basically, anything that you do in an organization is a process. Some processes in our organization may include such things as order entry, product receipt, product shipment, physical inventory. So what are process maps? According to processmaps.com, they are tools which help to visually illustrate how the work flows. They are tools for business communication, for business planning, and they're tools to help manage the organization. Another way that you might think of a process map is a roadmap. When carefully followed, help you to avoid wrong turns. Wrong turns that could put you on the road to mix-ups and errors. So why do we map processes? As the old adage says, a picture is worth 1,000 words. A process map gives the reader a clear, concise picture of how the process operates. Processes are mapped in order to give us a better understanding of how the process is currently operating. Better understanding of processes is a prerequisite for improvement. Business maps provide consistency and efficiency in business operations. They ensure that every person is doing the process in the same way. By mapping our processes, we're able to see the flow of the process. By doing this, we're able to identify areas for improvement. We can look at where a bottleneck might occur or is actually occurring. Process maps also help to seek out non-value-added steps so the process can be made more efficient. Mapping also provides simplicity for training. It's easier to train employees when a process is well defined and they're able to see the process visually. The key elements of process maps are inputs, outputs, activity steps, decision points, and functions. Inputs are those items which go into the process, and outputs are those items which are generated from the process. Activity steps are the steps which are taken to get the inputs generated into the outputs. And decision points are crossroads in the process. A question is made and the direction of the process is dependent upon the answer to the decision point question. And functions are those individuals who actually perform the steps of the process. So, what tools are there to help mapping processes? Process maps are also referred to as flowcharts. Flowcharts are diagrams that use graphical symbols to depict the nature and the flow of the steps in a process, hence the name flowchart. Flowcharting allows you to break any process down into individual events and display them in a shorthand form, showing the logical relationship between them. As per processmaps.com, The lines and symbols of a flowchart answer these questions. What is happening? Where is it happening? When is it happening? Who is doing it? And how are the inputs and outputs handled? The next slides will illustrate the benefits of a flowchart. Okay, this slide represents my family tree in a report or written format, rather than the traditional tree format we all know, which is in fact a flowchart. I know this is my family tree, not a process, but it'll give you a clear understanding of the difference between a written instruction and a flowchart. This illustrates how difficult it is to correlate the relationship between processes in a written format. Although it is evident that Iva Lee is my maternal great-grandmother, it is not evident whose mother she is. Is she the mother of Robert Ehringer or Freeda Bobo? We don't know. Yes, I was named after my grandma. The relationships between the processes isn't clear. This is a common mistake when using a written format for processes. Okay, so now we take my family tree and put it into the flowchart format. From this, we can easily see the relationship between each person or process better than in the report or written format. In this mapped format, we can easily see that Iva Lee is the mother of Robert Ehringer. This is the same for processes. When the processes are mapped, we can understand the relationship between each step rather than to try and decipher it in the written format. We can also see where holes or missing steps are. I bet you didn't notice that my maternal great-grandmother was missing in the report format, but it's evident when it's put into the flowchart format. So, how do you go about creating flowcharts? The first step is to identify the process or the task you want to analyze. Defining the scope of the process is important, as it will keep the improvement efforts from becoming unmanageable. The next step is to get help from the people who are most familiar with the process. The people who do it every day, they're great assets for flowchart creation. They are the most knowledgeable about how it works. This is one of the most important benefits of process mapping as well, because it allows employees the opportunity to develop the processes in a manner that works best in the real world. They know how it is out there on the floor. They know what's going on. It also gives the organization an access to more diverse creativity and innovation. Sometimes, though, people who are closest to the process think that everyone understands it. They know exactly what they're going through. By using people on the creation team that are not as familiar with the processes can help put a sanity check into the mapping process. They can ask the questions that a new employee may ask. You then have to agree on the starting and ending points of the process. If you don't know what triggers or stops the process, the task of process mapping can become unwieldy. Then the group has to decide on the level of detail you will use in the process maps. It's better to start out with less detail, increasing the detail only as needed to accomplish your purpose. When mapping the process, you want to use enough detail to ensure that everyone can understand it, but you should be able to give this map to anyone, and they should be able to reasonably get what the process entails. However, you don't want to put so much detail in it that it becomes overcomplicated. You then have to identify the sequence and the steps that are to be carried out. This is the most crucial step of the mapping process, and it is also the most time consuming. It's best to just hold yourself up in a room until the sequencing is complete. I have had post-it notes wallpaper my walls many times. After you have determined what the process looks like, then you have to look for areas of improvement. Some questions to ask are such things as, is the process standardized? Are people doing it the same way each and every time? If the people aren't doing it the same way, then you can't map it until everyone agrees to what the process should be. Are steps repeated or out of sequence? Are there non-value added steps to the output? Are there steps where errors frequently occur? Are there rework loops? Where are the differences between the current process state and the desired state? Each of these items will reveal themselves as you map your processes. So now, it's time to actually construct the process flowchart. There are softwares out there that can help you do this, that makes it neat and tidy. My preference is Microsoft Visio, but there are other softwares out there. We use that because that's what our company provides. You can use the flowcharting symbols in Word. You can write them out on a notepad. Finally, you analyze the results of the map. After the map is constructed, you loop back around and look for improvements again, asking the same questions as in item number 6. Okay, maintenance of the process maps is very important. Established process maps should be kept current. Once the processes are mapped, you have to ensure this. If you change the process but you don't update your map, then they're worthless. They should be reviewed at least on an annual basis to ensure that they are still accurate. If the map isn't updated as soon as a change is made, then the employees are now doing it differently than what was agreed upon. Before any change to the process is made, the mapping should be consulted to ensure that the change will not affect something downstream. I have seen it numerous times where an improvement is put into place for one area only to cause great difficulty further down the process. So, this concludes my presentation on process mapping. I hope you found it educational and helpful. Thank you.